Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time for another chapter of the Hour of Devastation storyline, as told by Desolator. It's kind of like a book on tape, except instead of reading the story, they just paraphrase it and then make snarky comments, which, that better be a thing. I would listen to that. If my voice sounds a little bit off, I spent a lot of the morning breathing in lots of dangerous smoke and surrounded by police and firemen, so had a hell of a morning. And by the way, unrelated to my Bitcoin mining rig number 1 burning up last night. Unfortunately, it didn't take my shop with it. So 2 fires in less than 24 hours. My week is just on point. So in the last chapter, Nicol Bolas showed up. I assume other things happened. I can't particularly remember them. Oh yeah, I was gonna say the black guy, for God's sake. Bantu, Bantu the black guy, but also she's a female. She turned out to be a traitor. She had her memories intact the whole time. Oh, what a twist. And then Nicol Bolas killed her because, you can't have a twist like that, just ongoing, or you'd have to, give a crap about writing. But at the last second, Bantu kind of saved Hazaret, which, we already knew was the only god that survives, just based on the cards, the whole last thing. So it starts out with the intro saying the god pharaoh has returned and the 5 hours have arrived as foretold. Naming cards in the storyline. The hours of revelation, glory, and promise unleash disaster upon Noctamoon, which is the name of their city, and now the hour of eternity, which is the 4th one, brings an unimaginably personal terror to the city's denizens. That's hard to say. I'm gonna keep calling them the village people. Somewhere in Noctamoon, there's probably a policeman, a construction worker. Actually, there totally isn't. It would be really weird if there was an Indian. So the other hours were like, prophecies ahead of time. They were like, hey, the shield is going to drop around the city, the Hekma. And then, it did, but it was because locusts ate it and then sandworms attacked. So, yeah. A little bit twisted on the meaning there. Apparently, Nicol Bolas has some sick sense of humor. But you know what they say, a dark sense of humor is like food. Not everybody has it. But for real though, wizards, you made the traitor the black one? Black God lives matter. So it opens the actual story with, now was faith justified. Yeah, how? No, it wasn't. Your faith was a load of crap. Your whole religion was a load of crap, Noctamoon. So there's some random person that we've never heard of before called Nyla, and she's like, oh, awesome, I get it now. She wasn't way into the trials and the whole everything. But she was just like, all right, there's gods walking around amongst us. I can see him. There he is. So, all right. But then it said, the god pharaoh's return had occupied very little thought for her personally, but now she believed. Do you own, I'd say a sundial, but that's probably not right. A sextant or something? I don't know. You could see the sun working around. People were like, okay, 11 days left until it's in the middle of the horns and Nicol Bolas has come back. That's 11 days. That's not just, oh, he's coming back sometime. Stick a stick in the ground and get a protractor, for God's sake. They had those in Egypt. They proved it. Oh, pardon me, I meant space Egypt. But it says, oh, when the gates started to open, someday was now and eternity was here. Now, once again, couldn't you kind of, I don't know, hold your thumb out, hold it up to the sun and be like, oh, it moved a little bit. Yeah, it's almost between the horns. For God's sake, Egypt had calendars. Come on. Oh, but there was no bliss revealed behind those gates. Only horror. Yeah, he showed up and started raining down purple energy, killing people. Cut it out with the, oh, but now I believe. Personally, I wouldn't. I'd be like, well, that was a load of crap. Start scraping off some hieroglyphics or whatever. So Nyla's like, this is odd, considering Ronus, Kefnet, Bantu, and Oketra are all dead. I thought they couldn't do that. So then she jumps to, you know what, the gods have failed in their trial. They deserve their death because, it was suspected that the gods would have to participate in the trial when Nicol Bolas showed up. But she goes a little off the deep end with this one because she's like, you know what, we all deserve to die because we're not worthy. We failed our trials. Yeah, or Bolas is a dick. It could be either, really. And it says, that last thought, though, did not horrify her. Instead, it kindled an ember deep within, a warmth that comforted. Here at the end of now and the beginning of forever. Wait, promised them? What does this sentence actually say? I'm going to read this the way that I think they should have written it. How about that? It kindled an ember deep within, a warmth that comforted her. Here at the end of now, comma, and the beginning of the forever, comma, that was promised to them. See, that's how a normal person writes a sentence. Her city was destroyed, her gods dead, her people scattered, and never had she believed more completely than now. And the word and started a new sentence for no apparent reason. I'm already giving this a B-. Also, okay, whatever you say, crazy lady. I mean, that's like SJW level logic and stupid right now. She's reaching critical red line. So she's like, no, I still need to be found worthy because, we must be tested and there has to be trials and we got to be found worthy or whatever. I mean, whatever makes it go kill crap in the streets. I mean, honestly, they could use the help, so, whatevs. And this part's a little bit weird. Apparently, up in the sky, there were a bunch of angels floating around, watching all the chaos and violence and doing absolutely nothing. So not really sure whose side they were on, or were they controlled by the gods, or Nicol Bolas, or what. Honestly, what's going on with the Sphinx either? They said the Sphinxes couldn't speak until his return, so bet they got a lot to say now. Anyway, they suddenly all at once, all together, said, "The Eternals come." Oh, I get it. Like the Eternals, like literally the Eternals. Those eternalized, the mechanic, and they're blue, and they look like skeletons. Yeah. So, what's her name is standing next to the like the big mausoleum that everybody who was found worthy went to. I understand it's right behind the doors to the Luxa River Shrine or something. I don't remember or care. So the angel said it again, and the gates of the mausoleum opened. And out comes the Scarab God, who in the last episode was already standing in the open gap where the gate was, so I guess he went back inside? Have you ever heard of this thing called continuity? So out comes the Scarab God, obviously. He's got a head like a scarab beetle. That's how they described him. He comes out, and walking right behind him is a big old army of the Eternal, basically. It says there were thousands of them, and they were coated in a bright, hard metallic blue. Now, that's interesting, because remember, the huge part of Nicol Bolas' plan, allegedly leaked by the staff in a video that they weren't supposed to leak this in, was the fact that the undead were primarily mining this blue crystal in somewhere in Amonkhet. And I guess nobody really knew what it was for, but they were definitely mining it. And that was like the cornerstone of his plan. So it sounds like they were using it to make really like powerful mummies, I guess. Because in the actual game, they're all 4/4s. So that ain't no joke. I mean, it's not that great, but you swarm. I mean, that's what you do, except you don't literally drop them out as tokens. So it doesn't quite match up with the story, but... But the thing is, though, Nicol Bolas, his whole plan was to get back to being a god, because after the mending, when the planeswalkers dropped from, like, god level, like, interdimensional, interplanar gods, to, like, hi, we're just people, Nicol Bolas is like, no, I liked it better before. So he, through all of this, the whole plan is to turn himself back into a god or godlike being with immense powers and that can't die. So it had something to do with the blue crystals, but now I know from the story that they just used them to build really powerful zombies. Well, why does he need an army? He's powerful enough by himself. It doesn't make sense. Remember, he showed up to Noctimoon and vaporized everybody over the age of 2 with one spell. So maybe they're all going to get together at the end of the storyline and like cast a spell or something, or I don't know. I have a feeling that the Gatewatch is going to get defeated, but they're going to destroy all these Eternal, and there won't be enough left for his plan. That's my theory right now. So it says that, since they had all different races living in Amonkhet, there was human Eternal, Minotaurs, Nagas, Avon, which makes sense because that matches up with the game. So this Nyla person even remembered some of the specific individuals in there as, like, people who were champions of the trials. So Nyla saw them, and it said she became envious because they're so strong and shiny and blue. Okay, mostly it's because they're the worthy dead and they were deemed Eternals, and yeah. So if you needed any more evidence that this lady's kind of dumb, she's like, oh my gosh, I want to join them so much. And so they all prepared their weapons and rushed her and chopped her to pieces. She's like, yay. Yeah. Real smart people in the city. So then we flash back, I guess, to somebody named Esenu. She's fighting with some of the blue dudes, and she is really good with her two-blade style, but she says, I'm going to lose this fight because I'm a human, and they're not. Simple as that. Then they get real creative. She hears her weapon master's voice back at training, shouting at her, you imbeciles think your most important muscles are in your arms or your shoulders or your back. It's your legs. When your legs get tired, you die. And her legs were very tired. So she was going to die. Yes, I read that verbatim. So apparently the Eternals are very good at fighting. All of her friends are dead. And she's like, well, I'm just going to keep fighting at least because, I ain't going to give up. So there's more than a couple people still left alive and fighting because, obviously they're still alive because they're good at fighting. But the thing is, the Eternals aren't getting tired, and they are, and that's just all there is to it. So they really don't feel great about their odds. So her whole reason for continuing to fight is, not because she thinks she can win or, honestly even make a huge difference. It's just she sees other people in the background that aren't getting attacked by the Eternal that are fighting her, and they're safe in getting away. So that's like her way of like indirectly rescuing people. And then it just kind of cuts away. I would bet that she died. The next story is about somebody named Jenub and Macaire, I guess. I don't know. Oh god, how do I sum this one up? They fell in love, which is against the rules. Ooh, but they were going to stay together forever. And I will always be with you, Jenub, and I will always be with you, Macaire, or Macaire, whoever you are. Oh, but the sacred phrase, the words I love you were forbidden to say in affront to the god Pharaoh. Oh, but they were going to avoid the trials. And yeah, so he ditched her and she got killed when the blue people came out. She probably got disintegrated by a Naga. Oh, I just read further crap. She's still alive. Damn it. He only thought she died because he ran away. So then he spots her and he's like, I better go run over to her. Yeah, you might want to apologize, bro. So when he gets up to her, he sees that there is absolutely no love in her gaze and that she's holding a large axe. Now, it's not just because she's pissed at him. Also, apparently she was turned into Eternal, which is weird because that's not how that works. Actually, she might not have been necessarily turned into an Eternal, but the Naga wizard behind her was like whispering to her, controlling her, I guess, with like a spell, because he was a spell user. So he runs up to her like an idiot, like, oh, I don't care, I'm gonna save her from the spell, and then like she stabs him and kills him. Very interesting romantic drama short story. I'd give it a 3 out of 10, and I hope they both die. Now we jump over to somebody named Kawit. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Kuwait, and they just missed a letter. They're just using random letter generators at this point. I mean, I'm not an Egyptian namologist. I don't think that exists either, by the way, but whatever. Let's go with Kawit. If you kind of read it really quick, it looks like Kmart, so I'm just going to call her Kmart. I'm just going to assume it's a her because they've all been females so far, and, well, welcome to Wizards. If there's a male in your story, you're a sexist pig. Hey, look, it's a female. It says her god has been present in all of her life. Oh, yeah, Oketra, a.k.a. Mittens. From her earliest moments, her kindness, her warmth, her presence a constant pull towards being a better person. Her constant coughing up of hairballs. So when Oketra died, Kmart should have felt despair, should have felt panic, but instead she only felt rage. I actually like her now. That sounds like my kind of lady. I'd be like, yeah, let's go get some revenge. Let's do it. A bright, consuming anger, all doubt and fear burnt away by its white-hot clarity. She's the Hulk. This is a Marvel crossover and she's gonna Hulk out. So she's like, okay, I know everybody else fled because they're smart, but I'm an idiot, so I'm gonna go see Oketra one last time because why not? So she gets there, and believe it or not, the undead mummy servant people, aka the Anointed, are actually prepping the god for mummification. So, alright, get ready for mummy mittens. So she picks up one of Oketra's arrows, which is, at that scale basically a spear. And she feels it and she's like, yeah, I can kind of still feel like an energy with this, even though it's not like directly connected to mittens anymore. Okay, we've got a Spear of Heliod going on again, don't we? Except that was like a sword that broke, or I don't remember. No, I think the spear broke and they made it into the sword godsend. That's what it was. They should probably do that with one of those arrows. That'd be cool. Turn it into a trident. Oh my god, go get like an arc welder and freaking like weld it into a trident. That would be so cool. I mean, Thassa may have had a bident, but Kmart has a trident. And clearly, that's one prong better. So she's like, yeah, I kind of liked Oketra, so I'm going to go avenge her. Yeah, just go kill some stuff with it. Why not? I mean, honestly, Nicol Bolas' return probably took out the internet and the television, so there's really nothing better to do. So one of the eternalized minotaurs comes rushing at her with a big old weapon, and it says he crashed into the spear's point when she braced for it. And when he touched it, she felt a surge of power, there's a big white flash, and he disintegrated. Ouch. And it turns out, yeah, they're just undead mummies wearing Lazotep armor, which Lazotep is the name of the mineral or whatever that they were mining, the blue crystal stuff. So they said, she hasn't really worked it out of her system yet, so she's not going to be happy until, quote, every Eternal was reduced to dust. I don't think I will be either. Also, I mean, if I learned anything from RPGs and, monster drops and loot, you could probably sell that blue armor to a shopkeeper for like a pretty penny, especially like 1,000 of them. I'm just saying, hop aboard the, planar gate, whatever the hell, go to Kaladesh and sell that crap. So then she looks around and like, oh, wait a minute, that's Nicol Bolas over there, just noticed. So they just said that, yeah, he's massive, way bigger than even the gods, which they were pretty big, but a strange golden egg hovered between his serpentine horns. Wait just a second here. Oh, that's interesting. So I looked at the M13 version of his artwork, and he did even then have a gold egg hovering between his horns. Damn, I thought that was actually going somewhere. Well, I mean, they did go out of their way to mention it. I was all, like, on board the conspiracy train where, oh, he's gonna, like, clone himself and then, like transfer himself into the egg and then be reborn in, like, a new form, like a phoenix, except he'd have the powers of a god because he'd use, like, some magic. And no, apparently he always had an egg floating on his forehead. Whatever. Oh, and here we have an interesting editing error. Listen to this one. Her mind faltered for a moment, wondering briefly if this was an interloper, some force of evil that had taken over the god pharaoh. Was this imposter why her city was destroyed and Luxa had been turned to blood? Oh wait, in context, I suppose that isn't necessarily a typo. Whatever, who cares? Anyway, she's just like, oh, is it his fault that her favorite god is dead? That would suck. So she contemplates it for a bit, and she's like, no, this is him. Yeah, this isn't an imposter. I mean, this is definitely him. This is who we served all our lives. She gets a little heated over that. So she screams, I will kill you, and sprints toward him with the giant arrow spear thingy. Okay, glowing hot white from Oketra's bow straight into the scorpion god's head, blows it clear off, and he regrows another one. You really think one arrow chucked by a human is going to stop Nicol Bolas? I'll laugh if it does, but I wouldn't put money on it. Well, unfortunately, as it turns out from every game, movie, or anything, anywhere, ever, screaming what your intentions are doesn't really do well in battle, so her screaming actually ended up attracting a large group of Eternals. So then she thinks to herself, oh, Ketra, protect me, give me strength. She died. I'm pretty sure you knew that. Actually, it even says Kmart did not know who really she was praying to. But then it says, at least it'll give her confidence. And then after that, apparently it says, well, Oketra did, because a glowing pulsing shield formed around Kmart. It is a tangible expression of Oketra's power and love, apparently. Yeah, or it's like magic arrows, because like I said, she dead. So Eternals are just like knocking into the bubble shield around her and just bouncing straight off like that weird soccer game where you put the humans inside the big bubbles. I mean, if I actually tried that, it would be like 5 seconds in, I'd probably like break my whole face and then like roll myself to the hospital. But actually it's doing wonders for Kmart here. I mean, she's just blowing through the Eternals. She's making her way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and she's homebound. Just kidding. She's going after the dragon. But she might kind of be humming that tune. I mean, it doesn't say that she's not. Oh my, how dramatic. It says, Oketra, help me strike true. Kmart launched the spear into the air, and it flew with the speed and accuracy she knew she could never have achieved alone. It shone in the air as though launched directly from Oketra's bow, as it hurtled towards the side of the unsuspecting dragon's neck. Really unsuspecting? Really? There's Eternals bouncing off of you, and you yelled, I'm going to kill you, or whatever the hell she said. Whatever. He's preoccupied. So even after she threw the arrow, she still got the shield up, and a whole bunch of Eternals are just pounding on it, but just getting nowhere. And she's like, oh yeah, Oketra's love protects me. Wouldn't it be funny if there is no force shield and she's just delirious and she just found a whole bunch of cocaine? Well, as you would have suspected, at the last possible second, the dragon turned his head toward the spear, and the missile froze mid-air. Uh-oh. It dropped uselessly to the ground below, snapping in two as it hit the rough stone, which is weird because I thought they were made out of metal, but whatever. So then he gets all deep and philosophical, as you do, and says, in a different world, child, in a different time, you might have been useful. No, she's just crazy. I mean, you can work with crazy if you're a supervillain. I mean, that's a thing, but still. So then he just turns and walks away. Just peace out, gonna go blow up some more village people. And then her shield starts to fail, and she gets killed, because apparently George R.R. Martin wrote this short story. Oh, pardon, a collection of short stories, an anthology even. So then we go to some guy named, oh my god, Amenhakti. No, there's an A there. Oh my gosh. I think it's Amenhakti, but since I'm not sure, let's call him Steve. So Steve heard some footsteps. I wonder what they are. So apparently this bro is kind of hiding. He's protecting a child who is smart enough to not scream like a crazy person. So smart kids in this, the hell is the name of this place? Oh yeah, Noctamoon, or Space Egypt, or wherever the hell we are. So blood's coming out of his mouth, and apparently he got attacked by, I don't know, something. Whatever, at this point, whatever. But of course, logically, you know, as a normal person would think, he says, you know, I know my whole mouth is full of blood, but I'm kind of thirsty. And then he thinks, I'll be fine, I just need a cup of water. I mean, for the record, that works in a couple RPGs I've played. I mean, water usually heals like 7 hit points, but I don't know about this case. So he yells for somebody to help him, and he's like, hey, when somebody comes over, save this child, because I suck. So here's how the story describes Steve. He was large and had the broad, strong shoulders and chest of a fighter, but he was not good at fighting and he had never been brave. So the short version, a little bit less poetic, is that he saw a child out in the middle of nowhere crying, and he's like, oh, I gotta save him or her, whatever. So then he's like, oh crap, the Eternals are coming, and then they just like stab the living crap out of him, but he plays dead, hiding the kid under him, and then he hands her off to a woman and then dies. Wow, what a great story. Speaking of great stories, that's the end of this chapter. So, what was it, 4 or whatever stories about the village people. Well, this is what anime fans would call a filler episode. I really don't care what happens to these idiots who completely brought this upon themselves. You know, they probably should have just defeated Nicol Bolas the first time he showed up. Not easy, but not impossible. So next up is Chapter 7, which will hopefully step on the gas. We haven't heard from the Gatewatch in, like, ever. I think they were in, like, Chapter 1, like, no joke. I think that's the last time we heard, oh wait, no, Chapter 2? Because they killed Razaketh or whatever? Yeah, so, like, what the hell are they doing in all this? From the lack of them in the background doing anything noticeable from any of these observers, I would dare say nothing. So it should be interesting when they come back into this scene, and I think that will actually happen pretty darn soon. So should be interesting. In fact, I mean, there is the card Strategic Planning with just one of the strangest artworks I've ever seen in my entire life on a card. So I guess it's safe to say they're out there making a plan instead of doing things, which, you know, kind of is what they should have done not just about a week ago, but before they even showed up to the damn place. Way to go, guys. Literally the worst superhero collaboration I've ever heard of in my life. You guys make the Suicide Squad look competent. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit that subscribe button because Chapter 7's coming out right after this, and I will see you guys next video.